Good Sunday, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith with the Sunday edition of the in-depth forecast analysis video discussion on this very cold but bright Sunday, the 24th of January, 2021. And if you haven't stepped outside yet, wow, you're going to be seeing your breath and your glasses fogged up and just about everything else because it is darn cold, probably the coldest morning of the winter season thus far. We'll take a look at the temperature minimums this morning before we go into where we are now. Temperatures this morning bottomed out just before sunrise in the teens to low and mid-20s across the area, and they haven't risen all that much with the sunshine. They're still running in the teens in Sussex County and into the low and mid-20s elsewhere, but I have to tell you, they feel like they're in the teens because the winds are howling and the air is quite dry. Dew points are generally in the single digits, and the wind speeds right now, they're all out of the northwest, and they're quite gusty too. They're gusting to 10, 15, 20 miles an hour. Those are sustained winds, and when we look at the wind gust, they're in the 20s, so that makes the real feel like it's in the teens to low 20s out there this morning. And the weather story today outside of the National Weather Service office in Mount Holly, Philadelphia area. For today, brisk and cold. Temperatures around 5 degrees below normal. Generally going to be running in the upper 20s in the Poconos to around freezing or so, maybe a little warmer right along the immediate coastline down through Delaware. The wind will be out of the northwest at about 10 to 20 miles an hour. Obviously, the gust will subside during this afternoon as the pressure gradient relaxes a little bit. And we start off today with sunny skies, and there'll be an increase in cloud cover during this afternoon, with channelized vorticity moving through. Taking a look at the National Low-Level Water Vapor Channel, we have some channelized vorticity coming in from off the Great Lakes into downwind New York State here in Pennsylvania. There's been some flurry activity west of the mountains here, the Poconos. This morning, some flurry activity. Probably the air mass too dry here on a northwest flow and subsidence here on the east side of the mountains here. So probably just an increase in cloud cover, but probably not going to look at any flurry activity here today. Here's our upper level low over Newfoundland here. And notice all this cold air that's just rushing. Even it picks it up on the water vapor channel as well. And we have our new storm system coming into the west coast here. And this is our isentropic lift event coming in for tomorrow. This and this here for tomorrow night, mainly on Tuesday. We've slowed up the forecast a little bit with the arrival of the wintry precipitation. We'll get into that in just a moment. Let's do our national hazards first. There's lots of activity going on across the west coast here and the intermountain regions here all the way down through Arizona and New Mexico as well as Southern California. A variable amount of high wind, wind advisories, high wind watch, and of course we have winter weather advisories in the mountains here, and we've got winter storm warnings here for portions of Arizona. So it's cold, it's cold, it's cold, and it's quite stormy coming up here on the west coast. Now in Texas, a large area of Oklahoma and most of Texas here, and even portions of the bayou here in Louisiana are covered with dense fog advisories this morning. Across the Central Plains, it's a myriad of winter storm warnings, winter storm watches, and such have you. And here in northern Vermont and Maine here, we have a high wind warning in effect, or wind advisory, and that's going to continue for at least several more hours as the pressure gradient begins to relax. And down through the Virginias here, and southwestern Pennsylvania, we have, a winter storm watch put in effect. Large portion of the country is cold from west to east this morning, especially the northern and central tier. Maximum temperatures for today, if you want the warm weather, you're going to have to head down to Florida because that's where it's nice and warm and sunny as well. And tomorrow's temperatures are faring quite cold too, but they're starting to warm up a little bit through the Mississippi and Tennessee River Valley area. But it's still quite cold across the northern plains, and there's lots of activity on the way. Okay. Surface analysis this morning shows us very cold Arctic polar air mass in place from Hudson's Bay all the way down to the East Coast. And it's cold, no question about it. Here's our storm system for ejecting out of the desert southwest here where it's snowing again. Winter storm warnings for the higher elevations in Arizona and New Mexico as well. And your frontal boundary extending into the Central Plains. This area here in Texas, in the warm sector, south of these frontal boundary, will have to be monitored for some severe thunderstorms for today. We'll get into that in just a moment. And Weather Prediction Center's winter weather forecast page, day 1 today. Obviously, portions here have the highest risk, at least 70% probability of seeing accumulating snow where it's circled in the red, and the blue at about 10%, and the green at about 40%. Tomorrow that shifts gears now through the Central Plains into the Michigan area here. And of course that new storm system coming into the west coast today will bring the same thing again to the southwestern United States during tomorrow. And on day 3, another storm system coming into the west coast will do the same thing, mostly to Washington, Oregon, the Cascades, and down through California mountains here. And day 4, it looks like this. Day 5 looks like this. So day 4, which is, what's that, Thursday? Well, there's the potential there, especially over the Carolinas. We can see that, and we've been talking about that. That may extend into Friday across the Delmarva area, southern coastal, southern mid-Atlantic area, into portions of New Jersey, probably east of I-95. We'll get into that too. That looks problematic. And day 6, well, starts out again. This is next Saturday. I guess it's the calling card for the second to the last day of the month. And finally, the last day of the month on Sunday, the 31st. The Great Lakes, obviously downwind the lakes here, there's a chance of snow and sleet. And of course, the Intermountain West here as well. Liquid precipitation totals over the next 7 days to the end of this month, January 2021. They look quite impressive across the West Coast, especially California, the Cascades, all the way down here. This is some very high water content here. Let's see. Yeah, could be exceeding like 3-4 inches of rain. Even parts, just incredible amount of moisture coming into the West Coast under this block that we have developing with our polar vortex split. And of course, the eastern and central United States, same thing. Notice how they're not really predicting a lot of precipitation here north of 95. That doesn't mean we're not going to get wintry precipitation. We will, but the heaviest precipitation will be back here and across the oceans as well. Excessive rainfall today, marginal across Oklahoma and parts of Arkansas, parts of western Tennessee, parts of Missouri, parts of Texas, northeast rim here. Day 2. That shifts over into the Tennessee River Valley area. And on day 3, well, it's marginal on the West Coast. Weather Prediction Center's national forecast chart overview for today into tomorrow morning. There's a severe risk of thunderstorms here from the Arklatex area up through portions of Oklahoma. Severe thunderstorms are possible with damaging wind gust and hail. Heavy snow possible in these areas here, which are hatched, in the hatched green areas across portions of New Mexico, portions of Texas, portions of Arkansas, portions of Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Actually, this is for rain. This is for rain in these areas. Excuse me, I made a mistake with that. Hatched areas of snow here, well, all in the white. This is all areas of hatched snow. Through tomorrow morning. Mixed precipitation here in the blues, or purples if you will, and in the greens it's primarily just rain. So very active pattern going forward. Pretty cool to see this, the channelized vorticity here to the west of the mountains like I mentioned earlier, but notice the subsidence to the east here over northeastern New Jersey down through, well, the coastlines and out into the Potomac River and New York City and the Hudson River Valley, Connecticut, and the Northeast here as high pressure is in control, but we have these vortices moving through, these channelized vortices or weak perturbations in the atmosphere, and they're probably producing some kind of precipitation, and we see this. It's not really showing up too well. This, by the way, is Virga. Actually, that's ground clutter here, but there is some activity coming in from off of the lakes, and it's very weak, but we can see it in the atmosphere here. Let's go back upstairs from the Storm Prediction Center's mesoscale analysis, a jet stream structure here. Here's our deep storm forming in the intermountain regions of the desert southwest, and a jet structure flaring out from this in a convergent flow between this high pressure zone here in Canada, and this is all convergence and confluence here, and there's a couple of jet maxes within this flow here in the purples, and then the circled areas here as well across northern New England and across the mid-Atlantic region, where the winds are really howling. They're like I don't know, 10, 15, 20, 150, 175 knot winds here. So there's a strong jet structure moving and pulsing along these disturbances. 700 millibar, here is our low that's going to begin to get cut off here in the desert southwest and into portions of Mexico here. And this shows the thatched greens here are the relative humidity values, 70% or so. Relative humidity better than 70%. If we moved into the next couple of hours, some of these channelized vortexes moving through the northeast are going to increase the chances of precipitation. Well, probably not, but probably in the form of just cloud cover increasing. And the winds are brisk at about 50, 60, 70 knots. Looking at the 500 millibar pattern, it's a split flow with a convergent and confluent flow over the northeast United States. We could see this all through this. This is confluent flow. Here's our upper level low now across the Baja of California into portions of Mexico. That opens up over the next couple of hours. And we're still in a split flow pattern here with convergence and confluence in the upper dynamics of the atmosphere with the polar jet and subtropical jet here as this system begins to eject out and open up a little bit. And as we get into 6 hours here, this is what it looks like. So, yeah, it's an active pattern for sure, but not one that would support major snow in the eastern United States just yet. See, let's do the strat right now from the European model guidance starting out last night. Here's our strat warming here over the top of the other side of the pole. Here's the one that is waxing and waning. Here's our polar vortex split into two here. And as we go through the next 10 days, well, everything is going to come to a standstill here because we're going to be going through two stratospheric warming events. One which is coming over the pole now, and that's going to wrap around and feed into the main one. And the whole thing is going to try to collapse itself down as we head into 10 days from now, which is like the early part of February. So at 10 millibars now, we've got one here, and one right over here. So we ain't going nowhere too fast in this pattern. Taking a look at all the model guidance here for the teleconnections, the North Atlantic ice oscillation continues to favor a negative state throughout the period here as we head into early February. It's rising just a little bit, but still in the negative at a -1 to -2 deviation from normal. And that's not surprising. The Arctic ice oscillation also very in the tank right now, and as we head up into the early part of February, it wants to, some of the members here, especially the European High Resolution and the European EPS mean, want to bring this up just a little bit, but still in the negative, so plenty of cold air still in the Arctic, and its reaches also with blocking continuing here in the North Atlantic. Now, the EPO, well, it's showing signs of changing, but again, you would want a lot more of these members here, which is the GFS, suggesting that things could become a little bit more favorable for storms in the east coast of the United States during this time period of early February. We'll wait and see on that. The other model guidance is suggesting a tank as well, but probably in the neutral category, so we'll still wait on that. If we took a look at the PNA, if this shows up, well, the PNA is not good. The PNA shows me here that we were positive with a ridge access over the west coast, the Intermountain regions from Montana down through Colorado and New Mexico. But the forecast, again, continues to show on average that it's going to be in the negative, and very rapid moving jet structure in the polar jet handling our weather patterns with very little interaction between the subtropical and polar jets to continue. But in the early part of February, it does look like it's trying to reach up on some of the members here, especially the Canadian CMC model, the GEPS model. But this, you would want this here to be here. And it's not looking like it, but it's trying. Looking at the European model guidance, 500 cyclonic relative vorticity. It's positive in the reds and yellows. It's negative in the blues and somewhat the greens as well. And, well, we're starting out today with a very confluent flow over the northeastern United States. And here comes the channelized vorticity coming into the area on Monday. Again, it's strung out, doesn't look very impressive to me, so it's isentropic lift snow again as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. There'll be some spokes of moderate snow showing up with this channelized vorticity over Pennsylvania, New Jersey on Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning. And here comes the next storm, which would be for Thursday. And there's lots of things going on here. Still in a confluent and convergent flow over the northern mid-Atlantic and New England states with this system here and this open trough here. Here comes our new system out onto the west coast and, of course, just north of the Aleutian Islands, keeping everything in a moving flow pattern. But it doesn't look terribly good here because, well, if you live in New Jersey, New York, maybe not so much. But if you lived in southern New Jersey and the Delmarva, well, that depends on how quickly this begins to tilt, this energy here. And of course, on the European model guidance is further south, and then it spins it out to sea. And the problem is this, this, and this. And that's the reason why this here can't get further north. And then look at this. Convergent and confluent flow, again, with multiple waves here, here, and here. These are our vortices in action. So, it's not looking good. Nah, this doesn't look right to me. Now, this looks interesting. By the time we get into Monday, February 1st, which would be the third storm that we're talking about, which we talked about on Friday in the video forecast discussion. I have one disturbance here, another jet structure disturbance in the southern flow here. The pattern, it seems to want to relax a little bit. This goes negative but swings out because this is located here. So, there's a possibility of a coastal storm here in this scenario. If this worked out quite right, there would be a coastal storm of winter surprise coming in on February 1st and February 2nd. It's been noted in the teleconnections as well. And then everything begins to relax a little bit here. There's our upper level low by the time we get into Wednesday, the 3rd of February. And the pattern, again, is zonal. So let's break down this forecast a little bit. Here comes this morning's GFS, national here. Here comes the isentropic lift event. And this is going to start out a little slower now on Tuesday across the, breaking out across Delaware and Pennsylvania with some snow and some ice, some sleet, actually. And, it's going to be a little slower because, first of all, pardon me, the low is getting into the Ohio River Valley area, and there's a secondary low that's trying to form somewhere off of the mid-Atlantic coast states. This is basically an isentropic lift event, so this doesn't look really impressive. This is a predecessor of what may come. Now, here comes the second storm from the Central Plains that we discussed, and that comes out into the Tennessee and River Valley area. This is going to be a snowstorm here across the Virginia mountains, and it's going to deepen quite rapidly because we have a 1028, 1030 millibar high over Hudson's Bay, Canada, and a 988 low here over the Carolinas. So there's going to be a fight in a thermal gradient, and southern New Jersey and central New Jersey could get into a snowburst here on Thursday in the morning. Yeah, that's following the Tuesday storm. So Tuesday is the predecessor, but Thursday is the interesting one to watch, the trends here. But with all that blocking going on, look at this. The GFS just incredibly, if we go back to this now, just drops the bomb over certain areas where precipitation rate is falling 1, 2, 3 inches per hour here. So somebody's going to get really smacked with heavy rain and sleet and snow here across central and southern New Jersey and back down into the mountains of Virginia here. That's what the GFS has been showing for the last several days. It bombs it out. It just bombs it. 965 over the ocean. It's going to be a strong wind coming in on Friday and Saturday into the mid-Atlantic area. And look at this. This is incredible to see a 1035 millibar high coming in from west of Hudson's Bay. Look at these thicknesses at 492. Oh, you want to talk about cold? We're talking cold, cold, cold. 540 thicknesses are down here across the Tennessee River Valley area. So this is very cold air following this storm structure, and very strong winds too. There could be gale and storm watch warnings here out over the ocean, coastal waters with this type of situation. And then I want to pull into the next situation, which is on Sunday, the 31st of January into Monday. Again, another storm system coming in, moving towards the Great Lakes. We start out with a little bit of snow, and then we go to rain and some sleet, some ice pellets here. But, you know, again, we're in for some very cold, cold air coming in, and a storm situation that just wants to change itself as we head into the end of the period here in 15 days. You know, we are cold. This is all of these thicknesses here are cold. Here comes another isentropic lift event with the old stalled out frontal boundary and a new system coming into from the southwest into the Tennessee River Valley area, the Mississippi River Valley area, and the southern mid-Atlantic. But with such high blocking and such cold air here in the northeast, it's a struggle, my friends. It's a struggle. European Model Guidance wants to do a similar situation here with our isentropic lift event. It takes a low from the Ohio Valley area, sends it off the east coast with a secondary low. So we get some precipitation, mostly channelized, light, and variable in precipitation type as we head into Monday night, actually Tuesday. And then it takes the second storm system for Thursday and Friday out to sea. Again, like the GFS, it's a little bit further south and a little bit further, you know, the strength of it is about the same. So again, snow, which model has the correct solution here? We're not sure, but there is close proximity in this. And well, if we move over here into next weekend, it's just cold. I mean, you know, there's no question about it. Here comes that new storm system lifting up through the Great Lakes on the European Model Guidance. It's, again, trying to form some snow here across the mid-Atlantic, you know, ahead of this with a warm front, cold couplet, and some mixed precipitation too, but, you know, it bombs it out once again over New England. So the sweet spots might be here this time, but again, all of this is very unsure because the teleconnections are unsure as well, and they're not very favorable in my personal opinion. Concerning Monday night and Tuesday, well, first we'll start out with our channelized vorticity, advection, and snow across certain areas here to the west of New Jersey. As that waxes, wanes, high pressure is in control. And now we get into Monday night and Tuesday, and that's where the precipitation chances start out a little bit slower than previous forecast was indicating. The National Weather Service also noted this with our high blocking pattern that's in place and the cold air and dry air that's in place. But it's going to start snowing around here on Tuesday morning around Philadelphia, the southern New Jersey area, and rain further to the south and east out over the ocean, and a little mixed precipitation. But the model guidance, because we've lessened the amount of snow here. Notice how during the day on Tuesday, and I discussed this with other people just yesterday, that it's going to be broken up. So there's going to be periods where it's going to snow in moderate areas, periods where it's going to just be freezing drizzle or nothing in other areas because of dry punches that come through the pattern and the flow here. And well, this is going to take us all the way out into Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. And when we get to the end of here, there could be some light snow here, but this doesn't look really too good to me. Let's look at the total accumulated snowfall here off the NAM model. It's just coming in now from 60 hours, so you can see very little snow here. There could be more snow to the south and west here. Well, we lost the page here, but in the confluent flow from off the NAM model guidance this morning, we can see that maybe these areas here through central and south eastern Pennsylvania down through portions of southern New Jersey may receive more snow than us here. Yeah, in northern New Jersey. Yeah, under this domain. 6C GFS, well, that doesn't look good to me here. On Tuesday and Wednesday, obviously, with the isentropic lift event, and it's further north, so that doesn't look good. But then you combine lake effect snows, cold air coming in, the next storm system coming in on Thursday and Friday, and that one could provide, several inches of snow here in a moderate range across central and southern New Jersey and down through, well, the Virginias. Look at this. I mean, where the storm system is really starting to bomb out. That's what the GFS is thinking. Again, the snow hole kind of like continues. And as we go out through like 15 days into the 9th of February, well, the snow stops here. But it increases here in Canada, it increases here in New England, and here. But not here. Not surprising. Looking at the National Weather Service's blend of models, which are global and mesoscale models too. If you want snow, well, a couple of inches here and there. During that event, isotropic lift event on Tuesday mainly. So enough to slick up roads here, and you get out to like 10 days here with all factors coming involved here, with the cold flow from off the polar jet and Arctic jet coming into and off the Great Lakes and south of Hudson's Bay, Canada, into New England. This is where, if you're a skier, this is where you really, really want to be. But if you live in New Jersey over the next 10 days, marginal. It's moderate, but again, that would be the totality of your winter. Yeah, I'm very smart, but unfortunately I have a very clouded head this morning. I'm not sick. I'm singing like the bird perched on the winter limb here, but I have to tell you that, Meteorology is what it is, and weather will perform the way that it does, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's going to end it for me right now because I need to take a break from looking at data, and I need to take a break from meteorology at this point, just for at least several hours, and maybe take a nap as well. For everything live, it's GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith. Enjoy the weather. That's right, because Joe Bastardi said, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.